Hello and welcome in, you wonderful people, and welcome back to week number 2 of the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. Now, I am here with an absolutely star-studded commentating lineup. You know, should we go down the line? Jack, do you want to go first? Because I believe you're a little bit of a celebrity in the midst here.
Oh, his mic's not working.
Oh no. Jack's gone. I don't think it's... You know what? We'll skip over it. Poundland, do you want to kick us off then? Because you, a veteran of F1, 9 years around the sport, how are you today? How excited are you?
I am stoked for this. First race on the commentary, 9 years esports. It's probably, we're at probably nearly 20 years full-on F1 experience. Ooh. It's going to be incredible. I really cannot wait for this. Because I watched it last week, and my oh my, the quality of driving here is immense. I couldn't keep my eyes off it last week.
I'm looking forward to it. Jack, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Oh, you're back. You are. Yeah, there you go. We're talking about celebrities being prima donnas, so we had to have a little bit of drama and flair in there. Okay, Jack, tell us a little bit about your experience and how excited you are to be here.
I can't believe I'm actually here for starters. I've been commentating for the the RAF and Inter-Services for several years, at least alongside with George over here. For what happened last week, I think it's definitely going to be an interesting race. An interesting race in Spa, because we all know what that track is like. But yes, very very much happy to be here. So thanks everyone for having us.
It's a pleasure to be up here with the both. And you two have been together, commentating for 2 years. You raced together as well, hasn't it? Forged in the fires of the track here. And week number 2 coming on in. We're here for the long run, I'm guessing, with you two.
Well, hopefully. I mean, unfortunately, when towards the end of the season, I can't make the last 3 races. But we definitely have. We definitely got a team to work behind. We got TK and Darren Mass, who were here last week. Fantastic job by the guys. So so hopefully we'll be around long enough to provide a little bit of entertainment.
That is good to hear. But let's actually talk about last week, now that you've mentioned it, right? We were in the wonderful British rainy lands of Silverstone. Now, I know, Jack, that you wanted to talk a little bit about something that really piqued your interest last week. Do you want to talk us through that puncture death?
Yeah, so it was dubbed Puncture Death probably about half an hour ago. But yeah, it was an interesting race. Yeah. Silverstone mixed conditions, qualified in the dry, started in the dry, but then the rain just started to come down, but eased off towards the end. Now, it was a bit of a gamble at the start on when to come in for the pits to change the intermediate tyres, because that's the conditions. But then battling for the lead, it was Proven and Edward G. Fleming, both trying to save their tyres towards the end because they just about hit that 80% mark, which at that point is RNG puncture territory. But it was on the last lap where, unfortunately, Edward Fleming kind of got the short end of the stick, coming around Cops, just getting onto that curb on the exit, shredded the rear left tyre, and that was game over, battling with Proven, and Proven went away. But not only that, unfortunately, running P2 for the whole Grand Prix, just with that one puncture, dropped him down to, I believe it was P7 in the end, because it's difficult to control a puncture on its own, but never mind puncture during wet conditions. So, yeah, very, very, very exciting last couple of laps at least, because he was gaining on Proven, but just on that curb, bit too much, shreds the tyres. That was it.
And Poundland, I got to ask you, the zero to hero that was Proven, kind of your chosen champion coming into this, what made him so spectacular?
It was the sense that he came into the race and he was in the stream chat and in the Discord chat going, I don't think I'm going to be anywhere. I have not done any practice around here. I don't know how good I'm going to be. And suddenly he's going to the top of the leaderboards in qualifying, setting 2 really, really fast laps to take pole position. And then in the race, he was away. You couldn't catch him. Of course, we had the puncture death in the end, which kind of sealed the deal for him. But he was untouchable. What more do you want? And I think he's going to be another one to watch tonight, 100%.
Exactly. Now, we mentioned it very briefly at the start here. Is that this is week number 2 coming on in, but I think we've got a little bit of a format that we're going to be talk through here. So, Jack, do you want to take us away, talk a little bit about, what's going to be happening today, and then, of course, looking at maybe the overall scale of the BFBS Pro League?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go then. So we're going to be going into qualifying, which will be 18-minute short qualifying for the drivers, which allows them to go out on the track and set a lap time as many times as they want. They can use a second set of soft tires if they so wish. Unless it is raining, then it'll be wet or intermediate. So they can do as many runs as they want. We're not running simultaneous grids because we've only got less than 20 drivers or 22 drivers on the grid today. So following qualifying, we're then going to move into the race. It'll be a 50% race, which I believe is around about 22 laps due to the length of the track. But each car must run an alternate compound of tyres as per the F1 regulations. So if you start in the mediums, you have to change to a different set of tyres, so the softs or the hards, before the end of the Grand Prix, unless it starts in wet conditions. But points-wise, for qualifying, though, you get points for the top 3. So 3 points for P1, 2 for P2, and 1 for P3. And during the race, the top 10 drivers will receive points in the standard format, so 25-1, with a bonus point for the fastest lap. But we also have the drop one rule, which at one point, if you cannot attend for that week, because obviously people do have work commitments to go to, okay, their lowest scored, or the lowest points that are scored over that 8 weeks will be removed for that individual driver.
Absolutely beautifully said. I think that's all the information we could ever want and need. But let's refocus back on this match then, because if you haven't seen it on social media, if you haven't been keeping up in the Discords, first of all, where are you? But second of all, Spa is where we are headed today. Longest track in the calendar, Poundland. Talk me through it. Why is this exciting?
Spa's always exciting. It is one of those tracks that has been steeped in history. This first race was in 1950, 76 years ago. And it's changed dramatically since then. It used to be 14.9 kilometers going around the Ardennes Forest. It's dropped significantly to 7 kilometers. It's the longest track we go to on the Formula One grid. And with a lap time of 1:44.7 to beat, which is the fastest lap time, it's going to be crazy. But weather can play a game as well. Because of the length of the track, it's very much a case of one part of the track can be bone dry. You get down to another sector, it is soaking wet. So that's what the drivers are going to have to battle with tonight as well, if there is any rain.
And what about you, Jack? What are your thoughts on this being our track for today? You excited anywhere specifically that you got your eyes really focused on?
Well, it's Spa. Everyone knows what Spa is. It is an unbelievable track, to say the least. A Rouge and Radion, are we going to see cars go side by side up there? We have seen it. We've seen it done right. We've seen it done wrong. Track limits is going to be a huge factor on this track, especially when you're looking down towards Pouillon, which is turns 10 and 11. So are we going to see more penalties like we did in Silverstone for track limits? It's definitely a corner to watch. And also the exit of turn 14 in Stavelot. That's where some drivers can get caught out, especially if they dip a wheel in the gravel. So anything can happen at Spa. And like George said, it can rain at one side and not on the other. So who knows?
Exactly. All up in the air. But there's 2 new drivers actually entering the fray this week. Smudge, who is the one and only BFBS Owens pick champion this week, and Phoenix joining in the fray. Now, Phoenix, I've been told, has instilled fear before we've even got on, before everyone's even got to their rigs yet. Seems to be the name on the tip of everybody's tongue. Why is that?
Well, I mean, Phoenix is a quick driver. I've raced with Phoenix quite a few years over his time whilst racing for the army, and he's up there. He's quick. He's definitely faster than me, and I believe that some of the drivers might be in the right frame of mind. And he's a scary driver when it comes to speed, and he knows this track. So, will prove and be able to keep up with him going off Silverstone pace. We don't know. But yeah, he's a quick driver and a bit of a scary one. So yeah, right mindset.
Anything else that you want to add to that? I know we talked a little bit about this proven Phoenix head-to-head. Is that really going to be the clash that we're seeing here, do you think?
Difficult to say this early on in the season, and obviously with Phoenix's first race, we don't really know the pace that Proven could take up that way. But you know, it's a difficult one to call. But the battle could be on. But also going off what Edward was doing last week in Silverstone is definitely another one to throw into the mix. So we could be looking at a three-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, we could be indeed. And as you saw on that first page, we've already started to see a couple of the points coming on in here as well. Qualifier important for more than one reason. We talked about it. Points can be allocated for those top 3 positions there. But I'm hoping we should be getting ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you in the wonderful hands, the very capable hands of your 2 wonderful commentators. And we'll check back in after qualifiers.
So here we go then. We are going back to the Ardennes Forest in Belgium. Spa-Francorchamps, 2 DRS zones on this track, more commonly along the Kemmel Straight and the back straight into La Source with, where have they gone? 19 corners. There you go. 4.35 miles, 19 corners, 10 to the left and 9 to the right. So tyre wear on this track isn't going to be too much compared to what we saw in Silverstone, with elevation changes all the way around here, about 102.2 meters. So plenty of roller coaster rides for the drivers to look forward to. And are we going to see lots of moves into La Source at turn 1, or more commonly down the Kemmel Straight, going towards turn 5 and 6 with that DRS zone where, George, if you remember correctly, Sebastian, that here comes Sebastian Vettel move on Lewis Hamilton, I believe, 2007? Maybe
no, not 2007. I think it was more heading into 2000 and maybe 18, 19 on the run down Kemmel Straight. It's all about getting that really good line up Eau Rouge onto Radion. If you get that line right and get your speed right, your speed going down the Kemmel Straight will be immense, especially with the slipstream advantage that you're going to have going down the Kemmel. It will be an overtaking point into La Source. Into La Source? I can't remember what that is. I think La Source is
it's Lacombe. Lacombe's one you're after.
Lacombe, yeah, that's the one I'm on about. Into Lacombe, and then it's getting your cornering right into Lacombe, because obviously it's a very quick to the right and then to the left as well. Then a short run back into a right on the run down into Brussels. So it is going to be very, very tight going into there. But that's where we're going to see a lot of manoeuvres. We also saw Max Verstappen down at Blanchimont doing a couple of moves, which he learned from playing the Formula 1 game, was able to make a move around Blanchimont and then did it in real life as well. Sometimes sim racing can go into real life, Jack.
Well, that it does. And we have seen a couple of people take that step from sim racing to real-time racing. But speaking of racing, qualifying timer has begun. So we've now hit that 18-minute qualifying session. But one thing, George, I have noticed just from the pit lane at the moment is look at the state of the clouds. It is very grey. It is very dull. Are the gaming gods going to going to give us a wet qualifying, or are they going to give us a wet race as the drivers now leave their garages to start their flying laps?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. We don't want the rain coming in too late, really, because it is only one shot. We're only doing one qualifying session to set the grid up for the race in about half an hour's time. As we're looking on board now with Smudge, first one out down that Kemmel Straight. If it starts raining at any point, especially when we've already started setting laps, it's qualifying over. You wouldn't be able to set a faster time on those wet tyres. So hopefully the rain will just hold off for a little bit if it was to come.
Yeah, well, it's all out of our hands and into the hands of the game itself. But Smudge, one of the new drivers on the grid, now going through what was called No Name, I believe is now called Jackie X Corner. George, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, I think I haven't heard that, but I think it is.
I'm sure I heard something along the lines. So now going down the Kemmel Straight though into Lacombe on their outlaps at the moment was, as you saw, W1LLT. I don't quite know how to say that one, but we'll just roll with it. We'll call him W1 for now. Runes, remember back from Silverstone, put out a great effort, a good little battle going on with him and Bomber Brown. So again, another talented driver to watch out for. He got a little bit held up there. I believe it was a front left end plate damage going through especially losing the downforce going through Magnus and Beckett's, which it will hamper it, but I believe did manage to make the move towards the end of the Grand Prix. But here he is now on board, going around Pouillon, turns 11, coming up to the campus corners, turns 12 and 13. You need to be careful around here, especially on the exit. You don't want to do what I believe it was George Russell, Antonio Giovinazzi,
yes,
dipped the wheel into the gravel and came across, and the wheel took out George Russell back when he was driving for Williams, if I remember correctly, George.
Yes, driving for Williams. It was a nasty accident, but it's just luck, unfortunately. This track, you got to remember, even though you can see the walls are quite spread apart, it's still a very tight track. One wrong move, and not only are you taking yourself out, you could take someone out behind you. So you've really got to be careful. As we look now at Smudge on the run down Bruxelles, keeping nice and tight to that corner, as you can see there, and getting a nice exit into what was No Name, now into Jackie X corner. As per Jackie, stayed within track limits. Don't quote him. Into Pouillon, I find 7th gear, maybe just want to try and have a little lift and keep it flat. He keeps it on the track while he's doing that as well. So a very good corner there from Smudge as well. Into the Fanges, is it the Fanges?
No, the campus section.
Is it campus? I'm looking at a different track map here. Into Stavila, you really want to get this corner right, because if you get this corner right here, that run down into Blanchimont will send you perfectly. There's no toe, so he's not going to have that advantage to him, so there's no cars ahead of him at the moment. But it's looking like a very good lap here for Smudge to set that first opening banker.
It is, and I was literally going to say, George, take us on this lap, but you already did it for me. But through the bus stop chicane, Smudge goes, one of the newer drivers, Owen's pick, shall we say, and sets the benchmark time currently at 148.3. Next across the line for their first lap is Proven. Took the win in Silverstone. Fleming, though, 142.5, takes up the top, so mistake somewhere from Smudge, but then gets pipped by just over just about 3/10 of a second by Proven. So that battle is still on as we speak, but Phoenix is on their outlap, so he's choosing to go out a little bit out of sync, but with only 18 minutes on the cards, you can only really afford to get 3 laps in if you're quick, because you have to do your out lap, your hot lap, and then your in lap, and that's about maybe 4 minutes each. Thereabouts. So Proven now on their in lap, ready to come into the pits, but we've still got Adam Thompson, Runes, AGL, BR8, Phoenix on their out lap, Hog Devil and Bacon Pancakes on their push laps at the moment. Into Brussels with Adam Thompson, little bit of lock up on the inside of that front right hand corner, very common in here. Through No Name, we're going to stick with No Name, George. Through No Name we go down towards Pouillon. Are we going to see a little bit of a lift? Let's have a listen. A little bit of a lift, riding the curb on that right hand, the entry curb, just bottoming out the car, so you don't get as much of the steering abilities. But here now, we can call it the rookie driver, Phoenix, for this season, in towards turn 1, down the source. Hopefully we can stay on board with him for this lap. We expect him probably, I would imagine, around about the 141s. George, take us away through this lap.
Well, here he goes then. He's going to open the DRS now, which is the support pit exit there. So DRS open, running down the Camel Straight. He's going to probably brake at around the 75-metre mark. You see there, keeps it tight on the apex, and very good corner in there, I must say, around the Lacombe chicane. On the run down to Bruxelles then, that driver keeping out the way, which is very, very good. Keeps it nice and tight. Into No Name, just wants to clip that inside. Got a little bit of grass. Oh, that's gravel! That's
a little bit too much.
It hasn't invalidated his lap, I don't think, so he's still going to go. A little bit of a lift, but I think that's just the speed scrubbing off on the tyre as he's coming around the corner. Into the S section. Keeps it nice and tight to both. Maybe a drop in gear going around the second. Into Stavilo then. Wants to get a nice entry into here to get a good exit. Try not to take too much of that curve on the exit, or you'll be touching the gravel. And to that second part, again, trying to do the same. On the run down into Blanchimont then. Full throttle, 8th gear. You can see there, he's going to start tipping out. There's no DRS around here for the pure fact it's a corner. You don't want DRS around a corner. That's just going to end in madness. Bus stop chicane. about 75 metres again. You want to get a good entry there, and you've got to be careful with it, not to put too much power onto that second section or you're spinning. He keeps it clean across the line now. What's it going to be? It's a 1:41.6, even with a dip into the gravel. It's provisional pole for the rookie.
That it is, but we all know what Phoenix Lights raced with him in the past and commentated on him in the past as well. That is a lap that will be a difficult one to beat. Provisional pole. We've got yellow flag up in sector 3, possibly a slow moving vehicle just getting out of the way of the faster cars. So here we are now, Chewy just going through No Name, where we saw Phoenix dip the gravel, and I think Phoenix may have at least another couple of tenths of a second in that car, especially without dipping the gravel, because as qualifying goes on, the track is going to start to rubber in and it gets more grippier for the drivers, so expect to see these lap times start decreasing. But Chewy, though, still on the push lap through Stavlo. He goes. Lots of battery still on in that car, so not using that much of a deployment unless waiting it down to deploy all the way through Blanchemont towards the bus stop chicane. We'll see where they come. Currently a 1:27 on the Delta for the time being. A little bit of a wobble going around Blanchemont. Then into the break point of the chicane. It breaks a little bit early, about 100 meters. You want to aim a little bit earlier than that around the corner. Careful of the wheel spin on the exit. Deploy the rest of the battery and across the line. Does improve by 9/10 of a second. So Chewy now up into P5. George Biel in the pits in P4. 9 minutes 30 to go with AGL, Hog Devil, Bomber out on track at the moment, and Dewi Evans. They are currently on their flying laps at the moment, but Bomber, Thompson, Dewi, Runes, and Phantom still yet to set a lap, so could only see maybe 2 pushes from them around here before the qualifying ends. But I'm still looking out on them clouds, George. I'm waiting for the little bit of rain to come in, but do the drivers know something that we don't? Is it going to be dry for the rest of the session?
Well, I think it is. We've got some solar flare there, actually. So, you know, I think we've gotten away with it. So the sun's out, the track's going to start warming up as well. So the warmer it gets, obviously that grip is going to be there, and it's going to make these cars go even faster. And what I love about this, we've got the 25 cars. We don't have to worry about super clipping, so they can use all that battery and not have to worry about getting to the end of Blanchemont and start derating. So that is a perk of being in the 25 cars as well. As we start to look then at Proven, who's going to go for his second lap. It's that 1:41.6 then to beat from Phoenix. Jack, I think it's your turn.
I don't really talk around the hot laps, but here we are, Proven on his lap. We're still waiting to see Adam Thompson, Dewi, Runes, and Phantom to set their lap times. Bomber Brown did set his 1:45.0, currently in P7, so we'll have a chance for one more run. So that was nice and clean for Proven up Rouge and Radian. Opens the DRS, the drag reduction system. It's the little bit of the rear wing that pops open like a little letterbox, which will give you an extra 8 miles an hour, or around about 10 to 12 kilometers an hour. And around here down the Camel Straight, the DRS is unbelievably powerful. Through into Brussels, keeps it tight on the inside, a little bit off throttle into 3rd gear, into 4th. Now through No Name, again dab with the brakes and off throttle, now powering all the way down through Pouillon. Are we going to stick with it? Maybe a slight lift there, but that seems very committed from my point of view. In towards now the campus sections into the right. This is my worst corner. Goes a little bit wide, throws him offline in towards turn 13. Keeps it within track limits on the exit down into Stavlo. Uses all the track that you dare before dipping a wheel into the gravel, up by a 1/10.5 at the moment. Edward Fleming has gone quicker with a 1:42.1. Now through Blanchemont, turning the wheel as little as possible, trying not to scrub off as much as little, trying not to scrub off speed, scrub a little speed as possible, because the more you turn, the slower your car goes in a straight line. But round the final corner, gets a nice bit of rotation on that rear across the line, 41.9, so improves, gains another 1/10 of a second in that final sector. Phoenix on his outlap now, and goes, well, Proven goes ahead of Fleming only by 2/10 of a second, as we still wait for a couple of the drivers at the back to set their lap. Runes now going through Blanchemont. And I do apologise if anyone here is watching from Belgium. I am my pronunciation is probably terrible. But into the bus stop chicane he goes, brakes just after the 100-meter board, throws it in, gets his foot down as quick as he can, a little bit of wheel spin into second gear, across the line, and Rune's up into P4 with 6 minutes to go. Might have a chance to go to have one more lap after his cool down with 6 minutes to go. So Rune's great effort, only a tenth behind Edward Fleming. Now, where's this pace come from?
It is a question, isn't it? Where's the pace come from? We're looking at Edward Fleming now coming around Blanchimont on the run to the bus stop chicane. Tried to have a look at the delta there, couldn't quite see whether he was up on his time. Into the bus stop, goes a bit wide, and he's entering the pit lane. Oh, sliding into the pit lane. Don't want to do that. Hitting the wall. We don't want to see a crash in the pit lane, as we're now on board with Smudge, trying to go a little bit faster. Looking at the delta, I think we might be going a little bit quicker, if not a little bit slower by the looks of it. Can't quite tell on there. But goes very
dips a wheel
wide
in the grass on the inside. Dips a wheel.
Yeah, that could be an invalidation. But even if it isn't, it's going to lose him quite a bit of time. We've got yellow flags coming up by the looks of it from the flashing on the steering wheel. Possibly someone very slow around there or gone off in the S's. But Smudge now, he's half a second down. Half a second down time. That drop into Puon really did not help him.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an aborted lap unless he has enough time to recharge the battery. But I think he would want to get a fresh pair of boots on, get a fresh set of rubber. So we'll see if he does come into the pits. As Phoenix now goes quicker, 141.2, as W1 is now into the pits. So this is now where we're going to see the drivers sort of come out or leave it to the last minute for their last possible runs that they're going to get. 4 minutes 18 on the clock. But we'll see drivers maybe come out around about the 3.5 minute mark, which will get you to the line. So long as there's not a lot of traffic, that should get you to the line in time before the checkered flag. Yellow flags, speaking of flags, yellow flag up in the middle sector as Baconing Pancakes now is on the flying lap by the looks of it, but not using the battery. And I'm still looking for the Strange George, and it's not quite on its way, unless it does appear in the last few minutes of qualifying. So who knows what's going to happen, but we also don't know what's going to happen in the race.
No, we don't know. We won't know what's happening in the race because we won't see the weather report, unfortunately. Hopefully it stays dry. As much as we had a very exciting race last week in the rain, I think this week being dry might be a godsend for everyone, not having to think too much about the strategy. Looking at Bacon in Pancakes as we are now, though, the reason why he started sim racing was because his friend was faster than him in go-karting. So he actually thought, I'm going to buy myself a sim rig and I'm going to prove that I am faster. And that's why he's here today.
Yes, he is. A nice little bit of information from him when he first got here. And why not just go out and buy yourself a rig? And we'll see how well that practices has been going as he's now in towards turn 1, starting his flying lap as Adam Thompson is now on their outlap. 2 minutes 50 left to go. We should start seeing some drivers begin to leave the pits. Hopefully, if not, then they will not be able to get round. Or I meant 2 minutes 30 seconds instead of 3 minutes 30 seconds. It's been a while, but we're back.
No, it's been a while.
So it has been a while. So plenty still yet to go. Aaron Thompson still on board, waiting, trying to warm up the tyres, get them in that critical operating window. Probably wants to start crossing the line around about 74 to 80 degrees around here. So by that point, he has as much grip available, and that carries on until the end of his lap. So it's going to be all out pushing, which is, they're not going to use these tyres again. So why not just get rid of them? But now Edward Fleming, though, P3 at the moment.
Yeah, might as well get rid of him because there's no point taking him into the race. We're probably going to see a medium hard or a hard medium strategy going into the race, because the softs won't last long around here. From what I remember watching the real life Grand Prix, so it's going to be interesting watching these cars go round. But hopefully, like we said, we keep it dry and we see how that's going to affect everyone. I don't think we're going to see any rain. If we do, we might be able to get a couple of laps while the track is still somewhat grippy. But with this game, it's unpredictable, isn't it?
It really is. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes it'll tell you it's going to rain in 10 minutes. You've got Mark, not Jeff anymore, screaming in your ear that it's going to be raining in 5 minutes, and it doesn't happen for 20 minutes. So you never know what's going to happen with this, but engineers can get it wrong too. So here we are, though, in the last minute of qualifying. So we've got currently Phoenix on their final outlap, currently in provisional pole position. Then Proven now starting their flying lap. The only competitor at the moment or other competitors, I should say, in the 141s, looking to try and find a magical 0.7 of a second on this lap in order to challenge Phoenix for that top spot. Into the DRS zone, in on the Kemmel Straight, deploying the battery, but you need to be careful not to derate the battery, which basically means that you run out of energy deployments to use, so you're getting the extra horsepower from the battery. So needs to be careful on that throughout this lap. It is a long lap now into Brussels. Hugs it nicely in on that inside, so that was a good little corner for him. Through No Name, dab of the brakes, keeps it within the track limits, in towards Pouillon, staying on board now. Is there going to be a bit of a lift? There is. Upshifted into 8th gear, so I don't think that was the best move to do. You kind of want to hold it in 7th, let the engine rev out, because as soon as you turn, you're going to scrub off that speed. The revs are going to dip down again, so could have lost a little bit of time going through Pouillon, especially going up that gear and then back down again, and the dab of the brakes. So we'll see. Still pushing by the looks of it. He is up by 0.2 of a second, but could that little gear change in Pouillon lose him a little bit too much? The check flag is now out. Hot Devil Dog now across the line with Phantom Ricardo. A little bit of traffic by the looks of it, getting out of the way. Or it was a
car facing the wrong way.
Get out my way. Oh, was it? I saw a flash of, and that was it. But here he goes across the line, improves by 1/10. Did lose out by that car facing the wrong way. So that will be the yellow flag in sector 3 by the looks of it. George, you clocked that one. I just saw a flash of blue.
I saw a flash of blue, but I could just see it facing the wrong way. Someone's had a spin around Blanchimont. It's a weird place to spin it. We're looking at Edward Fleming. What can he do? Coming across the line, DRS open, doesn't spin it. Where can he go? It's P3. Taking Adam Thompson away from that second. Well, he's still on the second row, but just having that edge now. 141.9. Edward Fleming is up into P3. Brilliant lap there. But now we're looking at Runes as well. He's come through P5, 42.2. I think that was W1. Smidge is only going to be able to go P9 by the looks. So we're now looking at Phoenix then. Can he spin? No, he spins it going into the pit lane. It looked like he had abandoned the lap anyway, diving into the pits.
Yeah,
it looked like anything to worry about.
Yeah, it looked like he definitely had enough. Yeah, he definitely did enough. So he's just coming to the pits, overcooked the tyres in the bus stop. And that's that one done. But he knows he's done enough. He didn't have to push again. He is a good 0.6 clear up at the front. So all to play for. But Adam Thompson just getting taken off that P3 spot. I mean, the pace is there. So are we going to see, with that pace, with that 0.6 advantage that Phoenix has, are we going to see him disappear? But then we're going to see the battle for P2 and P3 with Proven, Edward, and Adam. It's going to be an interesting one, George.
It's going to be interesting. Like, you know, it's like I said just before we went into qualifying. It's all about getting that run up Eau Rouge onto Radion and into the Kemmel Straight. If you can get a good line through there, especially staying behind that person in front of you, you get that slipstream. You will have a Sebastian Vettel moment where you'll just fly past and then you're flying away. But you've got to be able to get out, especially with Formula One. You've got to be able to get out that DRS train and get beyond that second, because that's going to hinder you. And you need to make sure you're far enough away that they don't get that distant tow, because otherwise, well, we could even have an even spicier battle on hands.
It is. What do you think, Infinity?
Got to jump in here. Yeah, I mean, I was having the time of my life just listening to the two of you. We talked about that, you know, that battle for first place, that battle for pole position, right? And I think we got to see that set up pretty nicely. Was there anyone, in your opinion, that maybe took you by surprise, like a name that you didn't expect to see pushing up as far as it did?
I would probably say Adam Thompson was one, because going back to Silverstone, if I recall, I'm just having a look at my name. Oh, his name's not on the list, but if I remember, he didn't qualify that far forward in Silverstone, but towards the end of the Grand Prix with the tire death into Cops, managed to get back up there. So where's that qualifying pace come from Silverstone into Spa to, looking at the second row, even battling for, or could be battling for the podium, so long as everyone makes it through turn one nice and clean, and we don't see a Romain Grosjean moment where he got a race ban. It's a little dark horse, I think, for Adam. So maybe definitely a favourite track for him.
What about you, Poundland? You got to pick your warrior here. None of the top three. You got to show me somebody that you think might get a little bit of a sleeper agent.
I think I've got to agree with Jack. I think Adam Thompson is going to be the dark horse here. I think he's shown to us now that he can be there, but can he do it in race pace? Qualifying, you're on practically no fuel in the car, so the car's lighter and it's going to be faster, especially on those fresh soft tyres. Can he do it when it matters with a full tank of fuel? If he can, it'd be amazing, but we'll have to wait and see as we now, I think, head into the formation.
Yeah, we've sorry, Finnick, we're going to have to love you and leave you for that one. But yes, into the formation lap we go around Spa. So the drivers have had a chance to do any final tweaks to the car that they need. However, once finishing qualifying, the cars enter what is called Parc Fermé, where no other additional changes can be made, except in the game, where you can change your fuel load and your front wing angle. So there's not a lot that you can mess around with. You can't change your differential, you can't change your suspension. You can, however, change your tire pressures. So that's what the drivers would have probably been doing. You want to be running the car as light as possible for the Grand Prix, but you need to still have enough fuel to get to the end of the Grand Prix. And George, again, looking at the clouds, it's a bit murky. The sun is about there, but I feel like there's grey clouds in the air.
There is a few. Looking at the off-board shots, look at the tyre strategies. As I said, medium to hard seems to be the strategy to go for. Even if you go for that two-stop for the medium, and then a hard at the end. You can even go a medium, hard, medium if you're feeling a little bit risky. I think we got enough sunlight. I think, hopefully it can stay off like we said. But this is Spa. We could have it bone dry at Eau Rouge and Raidillon, but absolutely soaking wet into, where we are now, into Blanchimont. And on slick tyres, the last thing you want is a bit of rain.
That you do. But we are coming now towards the end of the formation lap. Phoenix leading the way with the 63% ability of a safety car, with your pit stops lasting around about 18.5 seconds, but pitting under the safety car or virtual safety car, the VSC, will drop that down, give you a free pit stop, cutting that to around about 15 to 16 seconds. So the drivers now come round the bus stop chicane to line up on the grid. Phoenix looks like he's going to be pointing the car in towards Proven to get ready to cut them off and get the best angle in towards turn one. As now we just see, looks like Hog Devil Dog just in the back. Now, this is going to be interesting. Hopefully we do not see the Romain Grosjean a late lunge in towards turn one, which caused a race ban back in, God, can't remember. I've lost it. 2012. But here we go then. The drivers are all lined up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. They pause for the effect, and it's lights out. And the way they go here in Spa, it's a good start from Phoenix. Proven gets bogged down a little bit in the second sector, but holds it up the inside. You got rooms for P3 around turn one. The go looks pretty clean. A little bit of contact on the back, and we do have enough into the gravel, but Proven still chasing down Phoenix as it stands. So we'll get the benefit of the toe, but look behind a little bit. He's got rooms right on the gearbox of Edward Fleming. Oh, but Rouge I've got a little bit of someone going a bit wide there at the back. That may have actually been Adam Thompson in towards Lecombe. They now go still side by side, looking to make a move. That's a lunge on the inside, but not quite close enough for looks like Smudge and BR8 having a little battle down at the back. But in towards now Brussels they go. We've got a little bit of action, defensive move going on there by Edward Fleming up at the front, taking the defensive inside line through Brussels. Now No Name in towards Pouillon. Cars need to be got a little bit of an off at the back. Then the drivers now need to be aware that being behind the car in front, they are going to be losing a little bit of downforce around these corners, so I have to compensate for that, as well as the heavy fuel loads on the cars. Now in towards the campus sections round Pouillon, everyone's seems pretty neat and tidy through there. But again, you don't want to be in this train for too long. You want clean air, otherwise your tires will get shredded pretty quickly and you'll find they'll go off the cliff. Looks like W1 at the back gets a little bit squirrely on the exit of Stavelo through curb Paul Frere. They now go. Still Chewy on the hunt to catch up with George BL. Runes up into P4, chases down Edward Fleming down towards the bus stop. Who's going to be later on the brakes? He's going to gain a little bit of time here. Looks pretty neat and tidy. Maybe a slight rear lockup. You see that little bit of a squirrel going on there. Round the final corner, gets down the traction. Does close up a little bit of Edward Fleming. Now up ahead, Phoenix and Proven. Only 3/10 apart. And that is lap one with Edward doing a double lockup into turn one. Doesn't want to be doing that one because you need the grip as best you can. Down at the back there, BR8 makes a move on Bomber Brown for the final point at the moment in P10.
Yeah, very good first lap there. We saw lots of battles, even someone going into the gravel. They added that gravel when they redid the track, I think, in the early 2020s to deter people going too wide out of the source. We look at Adam Thompson now trying to close the gap on Runes, but Runes just snaking away. DRS now enabled as well after the first lap. So we're going to start seeing these DRS trains starting to form as we go into this race. We see Adam Thompson getting a bit squirrely right out of Bruxelles into No Name Corner. He's lost a little bit of time now with Runes being 8/10 ahead, with George BL starting to really close that gap now. But better exit there by Adam, actually able just to extend that out. But however, he doesn't want to do that too often, scrubbing those tyres, losing a little bit of that rubber. He's going to struggle with that going into more laps. If you look on board then with Proven, you can just see there, Proven, he may have proved himself last week, but this week he's going to have to prove himself even more. But he's starting to close up now on Phoenix.
2 seconds, George. I think Phoenix had a bit of a mistake going out of Stavelo. That's why Proven's able to catch up to him so quick. He had a little bit of a mistake, a little bit too wide, threw himself offline. You can just see that gap now, throws him straight within that DRS range, and you're looking around about 0.4 of a second going down the Kemmel Straight to make that overtake done. Does set the fastest lap. Now that's been countered by Edward Fleming. Is this going to be the chance for Proven, or, and knowing how Phoenix drives, is he just going to save his battery and then throw it all right at the end? 0.4 now. Didn't get a good exit out of La Source into turn one through Eau Rouge and Radion. Is within that magic 1 second for the DRS. Is there going to be a little bit of a push to pass? So DRS wide open, and it doesn't look like Proven was doing the battery, but Adam Thompson with the powerful DRS gets back into fourth place with the overtake on Runes. But Runes under threat. You can just see just behind him George BL like enters stage right, closed up massively with that DRS. And this is how important it is around here. You have to be within them 0.4 of the car in front, and magically within that 1 second to keep it going, as it did look like Proven there. A little bit of understeer moment now in the dirty air, the wake of Phoenix, as Bomber having a little scrap here now with W1, but needs to watch out behind because BR8, these three have been changing positions. Bomber did get into P10, now he's up into P9, but Bomber goes very wide going through Pouillon. This is leaving his inside completely exposed to BR8, who looks to be going around the outside into the Campos section. But it looked like Bomber was harvesting his battery again, but there was a mistake there from BR8 a little bit earlier on the brakes in towards Stavelo through Curveball Frere. They are now going. Are we going to see Bomber make a move down towards the bus stop?
Well, that's what we could do. I was talking to Bomber last night, actually, and he was struggling with Pouillon. So he already knows that's his weak point. Can he rectify it going through this race? He was getting quicker. Hopefully, he can close that gap back up and get there. As we look now at Hog and Phantom Ricardo, and Bacon in Pancakes as well. We look at Hog. I think he was looking for a move back. Oh, and there goes!
That was a lunge!
Bacon in Pancakes straight into the lunge. He goes far too deep into the runoff. He's dropped back down to last because that runoff area does go so deep. You see him in the background there coming back onto the circuit. He just misjudged his braking zone there, as we see there as well. That's Phantom Ricardo going wide. We now drop on to BR8 as well. He's getting a really good run, scrubbing off a bit of speed up Eau Rouge, but respect that as well because of the undulation of the track. You can see there W1 trying to keep him out the slipstream, but he's got DRS. This could be a little bit spicy going into the Lacombe chicane. Not quite able to stick behind. W1 able just to keep him out the slipstream enough, but maybe another lap and BR8 could go for it.
Yeah, BR8 there just getting a little bit onto the curb there. Doesn't want to be doing that too many times. Losing the back end as that looked like George Biel going a little bit wide in Pouillon. But some interesting racing going on here. Bacon and pancakes. That was, I mean, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver, said Ayrton Senna. But was that gap really there? I think maybe a little bit distracted and too late on the brakes, but still saves it and gets back onto the track. Now looking at BR8, this little battle that's been going on in the middle, the Army reservist with Remy. He's been a reservist for about 4 years when he started off in the Royal Welsh. And for the past 2 years, he has been racing F1 and F2 intercore wise. So he definitely knows what he's doing, and he's holding his own against Bomber Brown, that little battle for the final few points on the grid. As you can see now, on board with Bomber, just chasing down BR8, only 7/10, so still has the benefit of the DRS, but just behind him, W1 also with the DRS. You can see that little rear wing popping open at the back, the drag reduction system in towards turn 1. Bomber won't be close enough by the end of this lap. Needs a good exit out of turn 1. He doesn't. He gets a bad exit. You just hear the wheel spin in the background of that car. Just gets a little bit too heavy on the throttle, but deploys the battery. But again, George, look at the battery that Bomber has remaining. I think he could be under threat by W1 here.
He definitely could. He's got no battery to defend. He's been using that battery to catch up to W1, and now he's lost it all. We look at George Biel now, trying to catch up with Adam Thompson. Probably won't have a chance until coming around Blanchimont is probably the next real overtake opportunity. You may be able to get away with it at Pouillon, but I wouldn't try it. But yeah, Bomber's used too much battery. You can see the gap is starting to really increase between him and BR8. So he's derated a lot. He needs to harvest that battery back up quickly to be able to even have a chance of not just attacking, but defending as well. George Biel's also, he's got a lot of battery. So he could have a chance to get Adam Thompson, but Adam Thompson now also has that benefit of a very distant tow from Rooms as well. So it's going to be a bit of a battle, and he'll have DRS going onto the main straight and into the Kemmel. So we could be looking at a mini DRS train here, just until someone makes a mistake. I did see, though, Hogg has dropped 36 seconds off Bacon and Pancakes there, so I wonder what's happened.
Yeah, I don't think I saw a yellow flag pop up on screen as I was looking at the timing sheets. But yeah, George Biel, though, up in P6 at the moment, is currently is in that battle with Runes for P4. So this would be George's highest position. I believe he finished down in P9. P9 in Silverstone, but Dewey on Phantom. Was that a little bit of a lift, a little bit of evasive manoeuvres going on there? But
there was a bit there.
Who knows?
Oh, it's
Huge
very squirrely off the exit. Lots of
huge wheel spin on the exit.
Oh, look, Bacon and Pancakes has been able to get past him as well because of that squirreling. But Phantom Ricardo had a very similar thing out of Blanchimont. He lost the back end, getting the curb a little bit too much on that outside, unsettling the car. But he's been able to fly off into the distance now because, well, Jury's has had that issue as well coming out the bus stop. He now has to fight for his position with Bacon and Pancakes as we go back on with Rooms, George Biel, and Rooms is now catching up by the looks of it to Adam Thompson.
Yeah, all to play for here in the middle pack with lap 6 of 22 here in the Ardennes Forest for Spa-Francorchamps. Battles going on quite literally all over the place. Phoenix is now giving Proven a tow. Both of them, I believe, are Army drivers, and they have raced with each other in the past. But George Biel down in P6 is on the back end of this tail, but wants to try and get past Runes as quick as possible, because the more that these fight, this then allows Chewy to close into the battle. So George Biel, the RAF driver, who is managing his battery quite efficiently because he knows Spa, he knows this track, and having raced with George for, racer George, not commentator George, but having raced with George over the last few years, he knows how to manage that battery, and you can just see now getting that good exit out of the bus stop right on the diffuser of Runes. Could we see the overtake happen here? Runes just hovering around that DRS zone. He's now dropped out of the DRS zone, but the detection point is just about halfway around turn 1. So is Rune's going to have enough in the tank to deploy? He doesn't have the battery to defend. He's deploying it. That's it. His battery's now derated. It's gone. But is George going to make the move? He's closing the gap. 4/10. He's a little bit too far back this time round. So Rune survives for one more lap, and George has another chance to harvest that battery. But as we see, though, Phoenix and Proven currently P1 and 2. Edward Fleming in third with Adam Thompson P4 chasing down that podium position with Runes George BL, who we are currently on board with at the moment. That's Runes. Chewy BR8 Bomber W1 trying to chase down Bomber with Smudge hot on his heels as they're now probably coming around the Lacombe section with AGL Phantom Ricardo baking pancakes, recovering from that late lunge into the bus stop under pressure from Dewi in P15 and Hog Devil Dog in 16 as we now we're now around lap 7. Runes still defending through Stavlo into Curb Paul Frere. Lots to play for, and well, lots of time to play for. If you think back though, George, remember back in 1991, you probably weren't even born then. I wasn't born then.
I was not.
But I've seen the highlights. That's when Michael Schumacher came onto the F1 scene when he was driving for Jordan, I believe it was, and he had to retire as his clutch went on him down at the Kemmel Straight. But the first movers of the pit stop, so Proven now looking for the undercut on Phoenix. He was within about 0.4 of a second. Off go the mediums, on to the hard tyres to go. That'll be him now until the end of the session. But I feel like he pitted maybe a 1 or 2 laps too early. I think it's lap 10 that you sort of want to be aiming for. So could Proven be going on a 2-stop for this Grand Prix? We don't know, but either way, he was about 3-4 tenths behind Phoenix, and by pitting early, you gain the benefit of using up these fresh tyres on an outlap critical outlap. So when your opposition in front of you pits, you will end up coming out behind them, and you will have warmer tyres of temperature. But here's a move though: W1 on Smudge, DRS overtake down the Kemmel Straight into the thing that W1, Smudge can do to come back from that. Ooh, bit squirrely then from W1, gets the back end out on that car. Is the rear tyres starting to overheat at this point? George, what do you say?
Well, look, going back to Proven a minute, having that pit stop, he could be going for that undercut. So if Phoenix looks to pit possibly in the next 2 laps, that could really help Proven, maybe even take the lead of the Grand Prix. But we've got to remember, the fresher tyres is going to help near the end because they're just going to wear away. Looking at W1 and Smudge, though, they're getting very, very close together. Going into Blanchimont and that. Oh, W1 getting into the gravel a little bit. It's not going to help his chances. That's just dropped by half. That gap is down to 0.2 of a second on the run to Blanchimont, but it's starting to extend again. So maybe Smudge has had a little bit of a wobble behind, because that gap is starting to really go. Edward Fleming now enters pit lane as well. So that undercut could be on the cards. Phoenix staying out. George Biel now heading into the podium places. We're just going to see behind, because that gap is slowly closing, but it's not enough. We can see now. Oh,
no,
it's contact! It's contact!
So George, I was late on the brakes. Late on the brakes from Smudge into the diffuser of W1. I'm sure that's absolutely going to go to the stewards afterwards. He wasn't in control of the vehicle, but that's the last thing you want for him. So he's more likely going to have wing damage. So expect to see Smudge into the pits imminently for the next time round for a tyre change and a front wing change. That is the last thing that you want to do into the braking zone. The bus stop chicane is a very heavy braking zone, and that is not going to be what the results he was after. Looked for the gap, or was it a little bit too late on the brakes, George? What do you think? Oh, no, 2 seconds. That was Debbie going late on the brakes as well down the back into turn 1. So a lot of drivers struggling with braking issues at the moment. There's Smudge down now, coming up to, that is Bruxelles. So still going, but are we going to see him into the pits? So maybe a slight lack of attention there from a couple of drivers, but I'm sure they'll figure it out as an overtake. Then W1 gets past Phantom Ricardo as looking at the battles on track. So Phoenix yet to pit, Adam Thompson, George BL and Chewy yet to pit as well. So Proven was one of the first ones to come in for a fresh But is it going to be enough? Because Phoenix is extended now, almost a lap to coming up to 2 laps on that one. But as you said, George, fresher tyres toward the end, they are definitely beneficial. So this could all change.
The whole order could change because, you know, the top 3 still have not pitted. We could be expecting them to pit maybe within the next lap or so, I would guess. You see Proven now making his way back through the field with those fresh tyres. George, you also get a George BL and up into second as well. What has happened there? Because he's suddenly gone right back up to back. Whoa! We see Jury going a bit wide.
That was a bit of a slide.
A bit of a slide coming out of Stavilo there. So, no, that is Smudge has got a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We're starting to see people now starting to pit for those tyres. If you look at Proven now, make his way into the lead with those fresh tyres, has been able to not just get the undercut, has just been able to catch Phoenix just on raw pace through those fresh, hard tyres. Phoenix, though, still yet to pit. We're seeing penalties galore here. Edward Fleming, 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings going over those track limits just that little bit too much. The game saying you're going to be penalised for that, my friend. We've seen speeding in the pit lane as well. Those 10-second time penalties you can take in the pits on your pit stop. But because this may be a one-stop race, that will be added to the time at the end, Jack.
That it will be, but yes, that undercut working beautifully there for Proven. Now just about borderline to break that DRS train on to Phoenix, but you know, is Phoenix just buying his time a little bit? No, he hasn't. So he's broken that DRS. So now Proven has the ability to, with that clean air, just to try and sail away. He's broken that 1 second mark, and that's what he needs. George BL, because I believe my timing screen went a little bit funny then for a minute. George BL now down in P6 following the pit stop. But as you can see there on your screen, Edward Fleming exceeding track limits gives you the 3-second penalty. You get 2 strikes, your third one, you're out. Unlike the Formula 1 where you get 3 strikes, then you get your black and white flag, and then you start getting 5-second penalties. But down near the bottom there, you got Smudge and AGL speeding in the pit lane. Gives you that 10 seconds, so they can serve that in the pit stop as George mentioned, or it will be added to your time at the end of the Grand Prix as we approach half race distance here in Spa. Proven your new race leader, being chased down by Phoenix following an undercut in the pit lane. Runes yet to pit, I believe, who is currently on his own in no man's land, but we still have, well, I say he's on his own, he's got no one in front of him, but look behind him, he's got Edward Fleming and Adam Thompson. Edward starting in P4. Adam getting a little bit squirrely and off the throttle for some reason down into the calm. Are we looking at lift and coast at this point, George?
I don't think
George
so. I don't think we'll be looking at... I'm here. Technical issues. I don't think we're looking at lift and coast yet. We're only halfway through the Grand Prix. So if someone has underfueled, at this point, if you're starting to lift and coast, then you're going to have problems, aren't you? So it's really a case of if you're lifting and coasting now, it's far too early. You want to be starting to lift and coast maybe in about 3 laps time. So it could be that sense. They may go to the end, but at the end of the day, I don't think they should be lifting and coasting yet.
Well, hopefully that will not be the case unless you have massively underfueled. But looking at the balance at the moment, Adam Thompson still chasing down Edward Fleming and Reese for the last spot on that podium. Phoenix now half a tenth behind Proven, and looking a little bit further back, Baking Pancakes did gain up on to, I've lost the name, there you go, W1. So did make a gain on W1 in the DRS, but then must have had a little bit of a mistake and dropped back out. But the battle up front is still developing. 5/10 Phoenix is now behind Proven. So we'll pick up the drag reduction system. You'll hear the beep on the onboard, but gets a great exit, a little bit of deployment up the hill, and Phoenix just buying his time. He's 2/10, DRS wide open, straightforward overtake, goes to the inside around Proven, nothing that he can do, and now the roles have reversed, and Phoenix has got the rest of the lap to try and charge his battery. So race lead has now changed once more with Edward Fleming right on the heels of Runes. Looks like there's an overtake going on at the back and possible DRS overtake into turn 1. Edward Fleming up into P3. Adam Thompson still on the chase through Brussels. They now go. Runes in P4. Adam Thompson P5. The battle is still on. for that last spot on the podium. W1 now just behind Smudge, closing that gap once again. So that'll be coming down the Kemmel Straight. So possible overtakes, but you can just see on the car in front, Edward Fleming's that flashing light on the back. It's not a brake light, it is the harvesting, well, the battery harvesting light, or the rain light, should we say. So if it's raining, that flashes all the times, as well as what's going on the sides of the rear wings. But during races, if you see that flashing, it means they are either harvesting battery, during dry conditions that is, harvesting battery, or they have ran out of deployment available. As W1 gets that 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits. So, lap 13, George, all to play for, and now we're going to see Phoenix do his usual. He's made his pit stop, and now he is pushing. He's dropped proven by 1.5 seconds. So I think that we may see now Phoenix sail off into the distance for the next, quick maths, 9 laps. Yes, 9 laps.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Nine laps to go. You were talking about the harvesting light as well. The reason why F1 cars don't have brake lights, because the drivers can't react quick enough to it and could actually cause an accident. That's why F1 cars do not have brake lights. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now. Cars are going to start settling in with these new tyres, bedding them in, getting that grip, because these hard tyres, it takes a couple of laps for them to really start going. But Phoenix now running away from proving that gap really starting to increase. As we have a look again now at Runes, sounded like he was locking up the tyre a little bit going around the corner. So he's got Adam Thompson under a second, but it's a fair gap between Edward Fleming and Adam Thompson now, around about the same amount of gap. I should be saying, I can't get my words out tonight. What's going on? It's Bomber now. Bomber, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's been in the chat asking for a bit of attention. There you go, my friend. Not the attention you probably wanted, though.
It is, and more likely these penalties are coming from that turn 10 and 11. That Pouillon, that fast downhill left-hander, is where we're going to be. Is where we're more than likely going to be seeing all these penalties come from. But lap 13 still going. You could just see how long it is on this track. When it's wet here, you are looking around about a 2-minute lap time around this track, which is when George Russell scored his first points for Williams back in 2015.
2021.
No, I'm looking at. So I've mixed my stats up. It was he got disqualified. He got disqualified at one point. He got half points in the rain because he was P2, and in 2021, and then he got
last year 25
Mercedes. Yeah. For some reason my notes are all messed up. But either way, moving on. So Adam Thompson then chasing down, no battery available to deploy. We'll just watch over that, George. No battery left to deploy. You can see that rain light flashing up the car in front of Runes. Runes also having difficulties in harvesting the battery for the remainder of the lap. There are certain points and certain tricks that the drivers can do with regards to switches positions. This is also in the game where you can change the amount that you will deploy your battery through lap. I believe it's non-normal, hot lap, and
overtake,
I think. Yeah. So those are the options that the drivers have. You can set it to non if you want to harvest more battery into the corners using the regenerative power of the braking system to put a little bit more juice into your battery, and then flick it back to normal whenever you want to deploy that. But there are some tricks that some drivers do, which I'm not going to disclose because both me and George know how they do it. But lap 14, Adam Thompson still chasing down up in front. Debbie, 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits, as I believe that may have been Phantom Ricardo getting out of the way of back marker traffic. So now Edward Fleming leads this pack in the DRS train. Looking at the battery level that Adam Thompson has, it's probably not quite enough to overtake. Might need to start thinking a little bit smarter on how they're going to do that one. Huge lock up by Edward in towards the source, turn 1. George Biel, though, on his own. No one nearby to fight with Chewy in P7 at the moment. Again, they're just sort of on their own, enjoying their own Grand Prix. George with, I'm sure he'd be happy with the P6, having finished P9 in Silverstone. But looking ahead, Not really much movement going on, just the DRS train and the slipstream and the dirty air that all the drivers have to think about when they come around this track. But the pole, what I forgot to say, because I got a little bit surprised by how quick the race had actually started, was it's 165 meters from pole to the braking point at turn 1. So compared to most tracks, there is not a lot of wiggle room in order to get that overtake and hit that second phase. But on your screens there, you can see the penalties at the moment. Fleming, Bomber, W1 and Dewi 3 seconds for exceeding their track limits, with the 10-second speeding in the pit lanes still going to AGL and Smudge. We've got yellow flag in sector 2 and that now has gone back green, so not too many issues, probably a little bit of an off going through Puyon at lap 15 of 22.
Yeah, not far to go now in this Belgian Grand Prix. I tell you what, Jack, did you know the race here has been won from pole 27 times in the Grand Prix 70-year history, with the most wins going to Michael Schumacher. And it's the only person to have a title decider here in Spa in his dominant 2004 season. I don't think we'll be having that in round 2 this year, so we won't have a title decider until later on into this Pro League season. But we're looking at Proven now, trying to catch up to Phoenix, but that gap is eking away. It's bit by bit. Phoenix really, really on the run. You could say, especially with what's on this week, he is definitely rising like a phoenix.
No, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that at some point. Stop. And also stop stealing my track facts as well. That's like you've literally just clocked off 3 of my facts at the moment. This is not fair.
But Adam Thompson, Jack, it wouldn't be us commentating if I wasn't taking your stats.
That is very true. That is very true. But up ahead though, Runes goes very deep, a little bit too wide into Brissell. Aston did close up to gap to around about 0.4 of a second. Can he capitalise on that mistake that Runes has done? As Runes, that mistake that you can see to Edward Fleming is just pulling him outside of that DRS zone. But here's a fact that you probably already have, but back in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to score their maiden Grand Prix victory at Spa, as Michael Schumacher did in 1992. So quite a few years back, and I'm guessing you probably already have that fact with you. But anyway, Runes is still chasing down that podium position. Edward Fleming making amends for that puncture. Hopefully we won't see one in this Grand Prix. The clear skies are now forming here in Spa, but Fleming holds on to P3. Phoenix now ekes out another second onto Proven, with Runes and Adam Thompson still chasing down that 3rd position. However, 10 seconds of penalties for speeding in the pit lane again loom down on Edwards, so that currently will drop him down into P6, giving Runes the P3, or currently net P3 towards the end of the Grand Prix as it currently stands. So still plenty of laps to go, plenty of tarmac between them, 4.35 miles. But here's a move on Adam Thompson, or move for Adam Thompson. But the problem is he's not tucking into the slipstream. He doesn't have the battery. He does have the DRS, but not quite close enough. They need to figure out how to harvest their battery around this tight, twisty section of the Spa circuit, and only then will you be able to capitalize using the battery and the DRS. But then again, George, both cars have got DRS. They're just neutralizing themselves, and it's down to who's got the bigger battery.
That's it. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Runes with DRS on Edward Fleming as well. They cancel each other out, so it's simply on slipstream and battery. That's all that you're going to be able to do. We can see there, Runes, though, definitely deployed a lot of his battery trying to attack Edward Fleming. You can see that rear rain light really starting to flash. It normally means they're below 20% battery when that starts flashing, so they're having to really recoup that battery coming around here. But unfortunately, with the nature of this track, especially where they are now, they're not going to recoup a lot. Adam Thompson really starting now to close this gap on into into Blanchimont. We might have a dive here into the bus stop chain. I think we are into bus stop. They're side by side, but it's not quite enough. There. Oh no, it's getting very, very tight.
He's looking for the switchback.
Can get the better of two. He's looking for a switchback. Maybe not trying to get there. He's going to have another run into the source. You can see that he's getting closer. Decides to go for that outside line to try and throw Runes off guard then. I think he does. He does make it stick, but it is going to be a real big fight here up into Eau Rouge. You don't want to be too abreast there. They're not too abreast, luckily, but Runes now might have a little bit of advantage because Adam Thompson has used a lot of his battery.
That he has. Great side-by-side racing from these drivers. Looking behind, Runes with the DRS. Nothing else that he can do at this point. He just has to sit and recharge the battery. But you can see now on Runes' car, on his car, 30% tyres, because you can see how hard he has now been pushing, but also the fact that he's been stuck in that dirty air of Adam Thompson for so long. It will overheat your tyres. They'll start to degrade a lot more. We just call it deg because I can't say the word, but that battle's still going. But it sort of cascaded. Oh, sorry, Ed has got 3-second penalty, not 10-second penalty, so my correction from earlier. But that all sort of started going through the bus stop. Huge snap there from AGL. Bacon in pancakes side by side, does get the switchback, still side by side going down into La Source into turn 1. Who's going to be last on the brakes? And it looks like Bacon and Pancakes is ahead, but AGL will be able to come back at them through the DRS. Looking at the batteries, a little bit of a deployment. Now, it's roughly the same as Runes, though. 3-second penalty for exceeding the track limits. So this is going to be a sigh of relief for Adam Thompson, because both car in front and car behind have the 3 seconds. But going on to the little battle that happened, it all sort of stemmed from Edward Fleming. He kind of went a little bit late going into the bus stop by the looks of it, or a little bit earlier on the brakes, and that's where it closed everyone else up. And then as Thompson was trying to get out of the bus stop, cook a little bit of oversteer, get a little bit too eager on the throttle, trying to get that move done, and then that just sort of set Runes up for a little bit of a switchback line. So them three are pushing each other. But with them fighting at the moment, there is no challenge up front. 4.6 seconds the gap now between Phoenix and Proven, with the battle for the third step on the podium still there, as Runes now dips just outside of the DRS. But again, George, remember we were saying earlier about it could rain on one side of the track and be dry on the other. It looks very grim in Sector 1 into the Lacombe down the Kemmel. But then when you start getting towards the bus stop, it starts to brighten up a little bit. So, yeah, are we going to see a last minute bit of rain with 3 laps left to go? No, 4 laps left to go. 19, 20, 21,
I'm kind of hoping so. I'm kind of hoping so, because I think it will really spice the grip. At the same time, I don't think we need it. This race has been thrilling enough, even without the rain, that we don't really have to worry about it. We've got a yellow flag down in Sector 2. Maybe someone just going a little bit wide. It's still yellow, so we wait to see what's happened there. It's gone back green. You can see there, BR8 having a little bit of grass on his tyres, just getting that scrubbed off a bit. But no, I think if we did have a little bit of rain, it could go wide. Oh, as BR8 goes too wide there, that's 3 seconds. It's got the penalty. It's not going to affect him too much to the car behind, however. There is a 12-second gap, so I think he's okay there. But at the end of the day, it's the nature of Spa. It always delivers. It's the one race I think every F1 fan looks forward to on the calendar, for the pure fact anything can happen, and it's been proven here tonight, Jack.
Absolutely, it really has. And one thing I think they should actually introduce is the Spa backwards. I know you can do it on the game, Spa in reverse, going down Rajon and Eau Rouge, because obviously we're in reverse, is actually quite fun, to say the least. BR8 just goes a little bit deep on the brakes into the bus stop, but still chasing down Chewy. That battle, though, for P3 at the moment, Adam Thompson is doing enough. We said earlier he's a little bit of a dark horse in going off the qualifying in Silverstone to the qualifying here. Started in 4th, but is looking at a top podium. But no, he wants to take it on track into Lacombe. Not quite enough side by side to get the move done. And later on the brakes into Brussels, they are still side by side. Not quite enough again, but looking for the switchback. Not really a place to do it. He desperately wants to take this on track, but has to be careful of Runes behind. Doesn't want to be doing it into Pouillon. He's thinking about it, but not quite. Smart decision, I must say, from Adam Thompson there. He thought about it. We could feel it. We gasped. And he didn't quite make that one. But that little battle that's going on, Runes has now closed back in. He was at 1.2 seconds behind in towards, now they go into Lacombe. No, not Lacombe. Let's try again. Stavlo. I'll get there in a minute. Now to curb Paul Frere.
3 laps.
And And again, yeah, 3 laps left to go in the Grand Prix. And you can just see now how that little fighting has just let Runes catch up. But the battle is still on. Adam Thompson definitely wants to take. He currently is in net P3. As we are around the leaders, I've got round 21. A little bit of a kiss into the diffuser. Not a lot of damage on that front wing from that contact, I would imagine. But is lost out. Runes has the opportunity now to get the overtake, but no, has to do a little bit of an avoiding action because he was so close on that front. So Runes playing it safe, doesn't want to ruin the car, but you can see these 3 are fighting hard for that 3rd place position. Big points, 15 points on the cards for it finishes with that bronze trophy. BR8 though closed up with Chewy with looked like a bad exit and overtakes. It was almost like there was nothing left in that car. It just had no power, but Chewy, BR8 now ahead of Chewy up into P7. And where's Chewy? He's deploying. Chewy's coming right back at him in towards towards Lecombe. A little bit of contact. That was a one time to go a little bit later on the brakes. They're looking back. Contact. Has BR8 the wrong way round. Wheel to wheel contact, and that is his race pretty much ruined if there is damage, but if not, can still hold it. But I'm sure that one's probably going to go to the stewards. Was there enough room left for each driver? Because you have to leave a car's width of racing room if you are sufficiently alongside. So that one will probably go to the stewards. Similar to some instances that got reported in the last race. Don't quite know the outcomes of them as it stands, but that could have been a very scary moment for BR8 if that car snapped the wrong way. As the leaders now start lap 22, this battle for P3 still goes on.
Oh, we come into the final lap now. This race is hotting up even to the last laps. Adam Thompson really wanted to get up there. There's a little bit of slide though coming out of the bus stop, so it's allowed Edward Fleming just to get away again. He's net P2 anyway. Edward Fleming's actually down into a net P5, so he's really got to start pushing to try and eke that gap away. With 1 lap to go, I don't know where it's going to be, but we look at Phoenix now, 4 seconds ahead of the pack. He's really started to fly here this weekend. It's been brilliant. We look at Adam Thompson again. He's got a really good run out of Radion onto the Kemmel Straight. He's got the DRS. He's using that battery, every last little bit of it. I think he's made the move just before the corner. They're still side by side. Going into the corner, you can see there, it's a huge lock up there by Edward Fleming, trying to stay ahead, and he's just running away now. They're all there. It's absolutely nails to the wall. They really want this, and I think it's going to go into the last corner, Jack, as we look at Phoenix coming into Blanchimont now to finish the race. I'm going to hand over to you for the checkered flag.
Yeah, exciting stuff still going on towards the end. Like we said, Adam Thompson still in net P3, needs to be careful not to ruin that car. But Phoenix, he started in P1, he qualified the fastest, gets the 3 bonus points. He has his first race of the season, goes a little bit deep into the bus stop chicane, a little bit of traffic ahead, but that's not going to bother him. He started in pole, he lost it at the start, and he takes the win here in Spain. Maximum points for Phoenix. It's a good weekend for him. Proven does cross the line into P2, so it does get them bonus points that he so much wanted going off from Silverstone. But this is the fight that we wanted to see. Edward Fleming on the podium, but with a 3-second penalty. Adam Thompson and Runes are still battling out. Across the line they go. Edward crosses in 3rd, but with the penalty, Adam Thompson takes it, and Runes stays in P3. George across the line in P6. Chewy looking to get some decent haul of points here in P7, and across the line he goes with BR8 and Bomber. They had a little bit of a scrap right at the start, and across the line they go. But Phoenix takes the win. As I said, started in first, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and finishes in first as well. Proven put up the fight, and that gap was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Last across the line though, we do have Smudge W1 Baconing Pancakes, who has made a great recovery considering the little bit of a late lunge, shall we say, earlier on in the session. Dewi in P14, again a good recovery from another little bit scary late on the break moments, shall we say. as Bacon and Pancakes now. I know he's got a lot of supporters out there in across the line with the 3-second penalty. Not really much he could do about that one. That's going to get added to the end of the race, with AGL 2003 UK in the yellow and black livery, which is kind of similar to my livery, I think. Rounds the bus stop in P13. And bearing in mind, one thing I forgot to say is the fastest lap, you will only get the point if you do finish within the top 10, but that doesn't matter because Phoenix finished P1 with the fastest lap and the bonus 3 points for qualifying position. So, as the drivers go onto the podium and celebrate, that was definitely a battle for P3. Hands down.
Oh, hands down, it was definitely a battle for P3, but what interesting racing it gave us. There were times where I thought they were going to take each other out, and I thought it'd be game over, but they kept it on track. They kept it relatively clean. Wouldn't say fully clean, but relatively clean.
It was clean. It was clean. It was clean.
It was clean. It was clean, relatively clean. And you know what? The drivers up on the podium today, I know Edward Fleming, with his penalty, probably is absolutely kicking himself that he got that penalty. But that battle for the podium, I think, even over 2 races in, that's going to be a high contender for battle of the season.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to drop on in here, but I'm going to ask you, what do we want to see going forward between these two? Because, I mean, it felt like that gap winded a little bit towards the end, but we've really set this up to be kind of the battle that we'll see going forward. What do we want to see prove and do to dig a little bit deeper here? Were there any moments where you're like, that moment there could have just closed that gap a little bit?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't think there was much that Proven could do. I mean, having raced with Phoenix in the past, I sort of know how his driving style is, and later on in the Grand Prix, he's always been able to pull away because he's like always managed to harvest his battery like an absolute magician, and then it's just like see ya, and then just deploys the battery to the end of the Grand Prix. That's where we saw that gap open at the end. What Proven did in the pit stop with that undercut, that was perfect. It might have been maybe a lap early, because come the later end of the Grand Prix, you're talking 2-3 lap older tires versus the newer tires, and Phoenix will have the better grip in the end. So could Proven have maybe pitted a lap later? Possibly. I would say when he did pit to get that undercut, that was probably the earliest he could have done, but he had the gap. He was 4 tenths behind Phoenix, and it did work. It came out the pits, managed to open up a second, but then Phoenix just had the battery and the fresher tires are deployed to catch up.
Exactly. Unfortunately, though, we are going to go to a short little bit of a break, but then we can look at the overall leaderboard. We can break this down even further. So be back very shortly. We're just going to tally up the scores. We'll see you very soon.
BFBS Forces News join KFOR patrols in the north of Kosovo.
We're here to create a safe and secure environment for the people in Kosovo and the people of Kosovo.
Our job, fly and fight from the home base, and we've got to be able to do that in whatever conditions.
This training is mutually beneficial to both sides. For the riflemen themselves, it's about getting that valuable training in the desert.
At the heart of Lympstone Parade Square, the King's Squad. And there could be no more special guest of honour than His Majesty the King.
And whilst I'm not moving the controls at all, I can certainly learn from what I'm seeing as to how a manoeuvre should be flown.
This year, 337 recruits have completed training. That's a first-time pass rate of 99.7%. which is incredibly high.
So we have a philosophy on the ship called the Way of the Warrior Sailor. It argues that in order to create morale, you must love and value everybody.
This beam here came from HMS Indefatigable. The beams from the Armada were eventually integrated into the pub.
At BFBS Creative, we are creative storytellers. We are specialists in unravelling the untold, even from the most difficult locations. We help you reach the audiences you need to reach. From documentary interviews to addressing communication hurdles and crafting your content strategy, we can do it all. We thrive in the toughest environments, ensuring your stories are told brilliantly.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the RAF Storm Shadows channel. I am once again joined by the immeasurably enthusiastic Roman in the commentary box this evening, Roman. And as you can see on your screens there, it is the RAF Storm Shadows taking on the Army Esports side. A fascinating insight into what we might come to expect in the inter-services. But for tonight, it's the Armed Forces Dungeon League. Let's get this show started.
Carries this forward, gets 50 with Fraz. Ed, get into that one. Envy tucks it away. And as I say, they need an opening goal. They have managed to get one here, 1-0.
Frazic, though, does some nice defensive work. But P finds Cedric. Cedric finds Envy. Beautiful stuff from the RAF Storm Shadows. 2-0.
Approximately a minute and a half left to go. Envy goes for a pass to P. P with a shot. P with a goal. Tucked away in the top left corner. 2-1 to the RAF Storm Shadows. And they are shining through here after the Army. They've struggled to rotate. They struggled to get into position after kickoff. And P managing to give the RAF Storm Shadows that advantage
Didn't have a lot to work with, didn't have a lot of the goal to aim at, but he put it in the one place that it was going to go to, and Cedric makes it 3! And the floodgates are beginning to open here for the RAF Storm Shadows. A great 30-second burst, and now they've just got to hold it, or even go for more.
Air power wins matches in Rocket League, and you can't tell me otherwise, as Ed will tuck that one away, and the Storm Shadows have the advantage here with 3 minutes left to go. Nothing about air superiority there. P just managing to get a pass across. A very strong 50 indeed, and Ed had an entire net to tuck it away. 1-0 to the Storm Shadows, and the Army, they've been crumbling since game 3. To control this one and take it downfield, intercepted immediately by Ed, and this pressure from the Storm Shadows has been relentless, and Envy, the man from Cosford, will tip this away to make it 2-0, and almost an improbable comeback for the Army to try and pull off with 90 seconds left to go. The way they've been playing, the RAF Storm Shadows, they're currently unstoppable.
The RAF Storm Shadows, an incredible goal. They've done it again, and it's 2-0 now, and it's 3-0 now. The lead looking unassailable.
Gives Ed some time here on the sidewall, gets it up. P is on the backboard lurking. Is Ed going to get this one away? No, but Envy's going to be there. Envy's going to tuck it away. It's 4-1 to the RAF Storm Shadows. Rose-tinted glasses are on, and I don't care. It is game over. The RAF have trampled the Army. 4-1, could be 5-1. I don't care what the scoreline is. It's going to be game over with 1:06 left to go. You're going to have me in the commentary box. I'm going to be hyping the boys the entire time, not just the Storm Shadows, the Sentinels and the Shadows as well. As this game comes to a close with almost P tucking away a very nice shot there, just drops at the death. Storm Shadows 3, the Army Sparrows 1, and well, the Storm Shadows did it in fashion late on.
Hi, I'm AS1T Stelios Elia. In-game, I am known as SE1997.
Corporal Elliot Greenwood, and in-game I'm known as G-Wood.
My name is AS1 Tech Edward Nussyweight, otherwise known as Cedric in-game.
It's already looking like they've upped the bar from last year, which is a really tough job to even do that. We are looking forward, not just myself, but as a team, to going out on that stage and representing the Royal Air Force as best as we can.
Playing up on a stage like this is the first time. We had a thing called Rank A, where it was all the top players played against each other, and then we picked our teams. I've finally made it into the first team after a lot of hard work.
Both my teammates are really talented. We gel super well. Really looking forward to playing with them on stage and seeing what we can do.
From my end, the leadership were outstanding, no issues at all.
Not just from my own personal line management, but also the Royal Air Force Esports Association backed us very well, I should say, and made sure we had all the support we needed to get here, and they're always a phone call away if we do need them for anything.
Really excited to play Coast Guard. It'll be closer than everyone thinks after playing them. We think we stand a bit of a fighting chance.
The second Air Force team, emphasis on second there. We're a solid team, 3 really good players who could do some damage for sure.
Although we are in different forces across NATO, we are colleagues, so it's nice to meet them in person and just have a laugh and play against them and hopefully beat them as well.
You ready? AFG, you're washed.
Coast Guard, you ain't as good as you think you are. We're coming for you.
Space Force, stick to mini golf.
We're going to win it.
No, we're not.
We're going to win it. We're going all the way.
I thought it was good until I saw them play. The Americans will never hear the end of it if we end up winning somehow.
Look, I'll shake on it. You know me, I don't drink. I will drink heavily if we win.
That the pressure put down. Stelios with no boost thrown into corner will be wildly out of position. G-Wood needs to put the don't go towards net on this one. Instead, Cedric go for the double touch. It's a beautiful finisher. 19 seconds into OT, and the RAF already going to match point.
That's right, boys. Once again, I'm joined alongside none other than Stelios. Stelios, at the very start of that match, you pointed out the fact that the strategy was aggression, was confidence. Do you personally feel like you guys delivered on all fronts?
Yeah, it was a series that we just stuck to the plan and executed it to perfection. I felt really good myself. I felt the other boys also played their part individually, and then we executed the plan as a team together. It was almost perfection, which means we've got to live up to that in the next round as well. So we can't just rest on our laurels. We've got to take it forward.
Well, for you personally, you were the first one to score goals across, I think, 2 or 3 of those matches that we saw there as well. Was that part of the game plan for you to be the force of nature, as it were, in this matchup?
I'm certainly a force of nature, but usually not in front of goal. It's usually Cedric or G-Wood that are bagging the goals when it counts. However, the way we're set up is it doesn't matter who has the chance to score. It could be any one of us. The way we play, we create spaces for anyone to score. And it just so happened that it was me that was in the prime position to put it in the back of the net, and thankfully I did.
Half, but not for too much longer. Sentinels have broken free, although only momentarily. Now into the retreat. Cedric and Asher, not for the first time today, failing to meet the problem at the source.
That's Cedric though. Air gets just the tiniest of the resets on that ball, but it pushes it just over the edge where Asher cannot grab it.
And there's an equal response from Sames. Asher in the interception, but straight to G-Wood. Oh, and he shoots just past the post. Stelios! 2-2 at last. Another sucker punch. How strong is that proverbial jawline? And actually, you can see the severity of the situation. There's no smiles. And Sames, again, waits it out. Stelios now looking for Cedric. Oh, that's a beautiful layoff.
For Storm Shadows, of course, we're going to be showcasing the other lower bracket match as well. It's going to be coming up on your screen later on. Just a quick comment where there's only 1 life for the team and there is no field for mistakes.
I feel like it's easier said than done. I also worry that this might be too simple a statement to make of the situation, Jam. For the Sentinels, is it really as clear-cut as get it? And all the while, time being burned off the clock. still 2-1 Sentinels, but that's going to change very quickly. I feel like I put on my crown, Jam. The King of Cursed is back.
For Shaman as well to look and demo or bump the player out of the way. Not on that attempt. I'm pretty sure Storm Shadows will be thinking about it. That's certainly one thing on Cedric's mind though. Golds, golds, and more golds.
And Cedric actually just lays off, allows Samez the room, but then wiggles his way through all on his own. Cedric to G-Wood! It's a save, but it's not enough! 2-1 Storm Shadows!
The ball caroms off the oncoming player with a series-winning goal scored just 30 or so seconds before the end of the game. It is the Royal Air Force Storm.
Spirited a performance as that was. Let us not forget that they have now tripled their game output in a single. Do apply. And that resource will eventually run out in the form of boost. Oh, very sneaky from Cedric. Lovely flick over the top of everybody. Oh, it's a spectacular from Cedric.
Space Force just a little bit. Exchange of long-range efforts, but I do love the proactivity and Reed's shot. Cedric denies it. Crossbar post out.
That is fortuitous. And now they're down the other side with a potential opportunity. G-Wood snuffed at the near post. 3 minutes plus! And they don't need the 3 minutes plus, just shy of. Cedric with a stunner. And it's match point for the Storm Shadows. Doubling up now. This suits Space Force just fine. 1-0 advantage. A slender one, yes, but one nonetheless. And Space Force relying a lot more on demos, but who needs demos, Jam? Where you've got G-Wood, what a redirect. Yeah, sometimes you've got to throw that experience out the window and play the game in front of you. But I'm not going to commit to a certain way of thinking. I'll let you as the audience decide. And I'll let these players on the pitch decide. I tell you what, G-Wood is getting a bit of a handle, a bit of a knack on creating these goals out of nothing.
They do so gracefully.
You know, Space Force press not as intensive as I would like to see personally, and that's allowing the Storm Shadows not just time on the ball to get out of defense, but to get shots away, Jam, and Stelios has just put them ahead.
Cannot get it out as far as the midfield line. Still keep on returning. Cedric sees that there's just no opportunity for Ethan to raise it down from his hand, and Cedric wins it in overtime for Royal Air Force. A 7-game thriller with 1 extra minute of the overtime. He is the absolute star player of that Storm Shadow side.
The runners-up rise. RAF Storm Shadows continue their lower bracket journey. The Space Force valiant until the end. But in the end, it was Cedric, a man who made a couple of mistakes earlier on, a man who let Space Force back into the game, who truly struts his stuff when it matters most. Wow.
Stelios, the most animated.
Stel, talk to me, because we had a few overtimes in this series as a whole. Game number 3 in particular, you were looking incredibly stressed. So comms between your team, I'm assuming were a little bit chaotic.
At times it was very, very chaotic. Yeah, you're right. You're spot on with that. And in those moments, it's actually Cedric, or as we know him, Ed, who takes a second just to scream out comms, 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 comms. And then in that moment, we snap back in from whatever dream we were in previously, and we're back in, we're locked in again. And it happened on so many occasions. You would not believe where he was trying to calm us all down and get back into the game mentally wise. And in the end, as you can see, it paid off.
It absolutely did. But you know what, Stel? In particular, yourself and your team are big on demo reviews, actually putting in the grind, the time and effort that it takes to perform well on stage as well. I'm pretty sure you're one of the only teams to actually do that here. So yesterday's kind of debug, shall we say, after the performance.
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the prolonged break. We had to make sure that we tallied everything up right. But I come bearing exciting news. Before anything, I think it's time that we talk about what's coming next week. Next week, we're heading over to Singapore. Now, what are your thoughts on this then? Marina Bay, how are we feeling? Because we talked about how this week was kind of a little bit of a fan favorite. Singapore, how are we feeling?
I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. It's on the new track as well, because they did some modifications. They got rid of the little under stadium section in the final sector, So we could see a few more overtakes happening at that point. So who knows? It's definitely going to be an interesting race, and you have to be pinpoint perfect around this track because it is a street circuit, and there are walls that come up on you very quickly, especially when you start getting into sort of the back end of the middle sector with the Singapore sling, as is commonly known. So yeah, we could even car on this race.
Yeah, it's very much. I think the best way of putting it is Monaco at night. Those walls, there's no corner where you are forgiven, bar turn one. We saw in 2017 though, turn one, especially if it is wet, we have seen incidents happen, and it happens catastrophically. But Singapore, been on the calendar since 2008, was the first ever night race going in to this kind of new era of Formula One. And it always delivered. There's a 100% chance of safety car in real life. Could that be the same in the league? We'll have to wait and see till next week, won't we?
It will be.
Yeah, and given what we saw today, I mean, the excitement's high already. Are we expecting big and crazy things based on, we're 2 weeks in now. Do we think that we're mounting up to, safety cars galore, flags left, right, and center? What are we thinking?
It's, do you know what? It's a difficult one to call. I mean, say Singapore, Monaco, Azerbaijan, and even the Wall of Champions in Canada. There is always that element that it just takes one small mistake and then that's it. Safety car's out, or your suspension's gone, or you get wing damage, and then that ruins your race. Race 2 in at the moment, the amount of wheel-to-wheel battling that we have seen, there's actually been very little sort of like drastic contact. I mean, we saw one today. I think it was BR8 in Le Com that he, little bit of contact, side pod or wheel to wheel, and just ended up the wrong way. Got away with it, not going the right way into the barrier. But even in Silverstone, the biggest thing we saw was a puncture. So can we? Won't we? The battling has been great. They're being very clean, being very brave. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's Monaco at night. Those walls are there, and they are on the side of the track. There is no kind of leeway going into these corners where maybe you can eke it out a little bit. No, you have got to stay within the barriers of the track. Otherwise, you hit that wall, there'll be wing damage. We could even see tyres go flying. Who knows what's going to happen? We could see that safety car. Even a potential. Got to remember, red flags are in this game as well. If there's a big enough incident, we could even see a red flag. And that could really spice up the racing. You've got to remember, under red flag, Parc Ferme is out. You can make very subtle little changes and change tyres in the pits. That could spice up the racing even more.
I think that sounds like everyone's going to have to come back next week and have a watch. It does sound like it's going to be an all-out firefight. But let's look back at today. I think we've got the results ready to go. And, we talked a little bit about it, that race for first place. But it was that gap and that race between third and fifth that I think you guys were really excited about, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Edward did what he needed to do at that time. We managed to hold off Runes and Adam Thompson, who were them down for I don't know, about 10 laps or so. They were literally within about half a second of each other. It was just unfortunate that little slap on the wrist for exceeding track limits. That's all that it took for Edward to get that podium, which he rightfully deserved in Silverstone. So that battle was, we saw the lunges, we saw the flashes in the mirrors. They were diffuser to front wing pretty much for, like I said, about 10 laps or so. It was a battle, to say the least. And yeah, we can see a lot more racing like that. So yeah, unbelievable battle.
Yeah, I mean, it was battles up and down the grid, wasn't it? We've seen Runes and George BL, we've seen Bomber with W1. Everywhere you looked, there was something happening. It didn't matter whether you were looking at the top 5 or whether you were looking at the back 5. There was always something going on. I think that's what this league is what it needs, and it's what everybody wants to watch. Is you don't know where you're going to look. Hog Devil, we said at the start, he went very far down. He was 35 seconds down after the first couple of laps to come home 15th after something like that. Do you know what? It is not a bad recovery. Yes, it's second to last, but you know what? At the end of the day, it was a very, very good recovery. can we just touch on bacon and pancakes as well?
I was going to say.
Stellar moves, and it was just that one move late on the brakes into the bus stop chicane. And obviously at the bus stop, you've got that very, very wide runoff area, haven't you? And if you go deep in that, you're going to be losing a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah, he may not have won the race. He may not have won the karting against his mate, but he's won our hearts, I think.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a big following behind him, but yeah, I mean that move that even made me and George go a little bit a little bit too late on the brakes. It could have been nasty, but did well enough to hold it and crawl back up from losing all that time as well. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen in Formula One.
Never indeed. But unfortunately, that is going to be it from us. Last question before you go. Highlight of the day. It could be from qualifiers, it could be from the race. Top moment, in your opinion, as we head off into the sunset.
Ooh, I'm probably going to say that. I'm going to say the pancake move. The pancake move. It's going to be the pancake move. I mean, I've got the wall of Latifi. I've got wall of Latifi in Abu Dhabi, and we're going to call this a pancake move. So if we see any more late breakings, I think that's what we're going to dub it.
Poundland, you in agreement? Yeah, you've got another moment.
You know, I'm going to let Jack have that one. I'm going to say it was the freeway battle we had with Thompson, Fleming, and Runes. It just kept going, lap after lap after lap. We were watching the batteries. We were watching everything going on, those little battles, and it was incredible, you know. And at the end of the day, I think again the racing is what keeps us watching and what keeps it exciting, and that is what that's what we love about it. But at the end of the day, Phoenix really did rise from the ashes, didn't he?
Exactly. Had to get one more one in there, didn't you? One more Phoenix.
He had to get one more.
We've got plenty more time because, I mean, a performance like that, we're expecting to see him come through time and time again and keep putting up results like that. But unfortunately, we're going to have to love you and leave you for tonight. That is it for today. But if you enjoyed today, if you enjoy F1, if you enjoy F125, or maybe you just enjoy the wonderful Jack and Poundland here, then come back next week. We will be here next Monday, 7:30 BST in Singapore. You're not going to want to miss it. But from everyone here at BFBS Pro League, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week.
And it's lights out the way they go here in Spa. It's a good start from Phoenix. Proven gets bogged down a little bit in the second sector, but holds it over the inside. You got Runes for P3 around turn one. The go looks pretty clean. A little bit of contact on the back, and we do have an off into the gravel, but Proven still chasing down Phoenix as it stands. So we'll get the benefit of the. But look behind a little bit. He's got Runes right on the gearbox of Edward Fleming. Oh, but I've got a little bit of someone going a bit wide there at the back. That may have actually been in P1. He qualified the fastest, gets the 3 bonus points. He has his first race of the season, goes a little bit deep into the bus stop chicane, a little bit of traffic ahead, but that's not going to bother him. He started in pole, he lost it in start, and he takes the win here in Spain. Maximum points for Phoenix. It's a good weekend for him. Proven does cross the line into P2, so it does get them bonus points that he so much wanted going off from Silverstone. But this is the fight that we wanted to see. Edward Fleming on the podium, but with a 3-second penalty. Adam Thompson and Runes are still battling it out. Across the line they go. Edward crosses in third, but with the penalty, Adam Thompson takes it, and Runes stays in P3. George across the line in P6. Chewy looking to get some decent haul of points here in P7, and across the line he goes with BR8 and Bomber. They had a little bit of a scrap right at the start, and across the line they go. But Phoenix takes the win. As I said, started in first, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and finishes in first as well. Proven put up a fight, and that gap was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Last across the line, though, we do have Smudge, W1, Baconing Pancakes, who has made a great recovery considering the little bit of a late lunge, shall we say, earlier on in the session. Dewi in P14, again, a good recovery from another little bit scary late on the break moments, shall we say, as Baconing Pancakes now, I know he's got a lot of supporters out there in across the line with the 3-second penalty. Not really much he can do about that one. That's going to get added to the end of the race, with AGL 2003 UK in the yellow and black livery, which is kind of similar to my livery, I think. Rounds the bus stop in P13. And bearing in mind, one thing I forgot to say is the fastest lap, you will only get the point if you do finish within the top 10, but that doesn't matter because Phoenix finished P1 with the fastest lap and the bonus 3 points for qualifying position. So, as the drivers go onto the podium and celebrate, that was definitely a battle for P3. Hands down.
Oh, hands down, it was definitely a battle for P3, but what interesting racing it gave us. There were times where I thought they were going to take each other out, and I thought it'd be game over, but they kept it on track. They kept it relatively clean. I wouldn't say fully clean, but relatively clean.
It was clean. It was clean. It was clean.
It was clean. It was clean, relatively clean. And you know what? The drivers up on the podium today, I know Edward Fleming.